to get that moolah. And stack my change up, they gon' see that jeweler. Stand in the kitchen, the whip out that, whip out that, whip out that. Stand in the kitchen, the whip out that, whip out that, whip out that, whip out that. All I've been had with the, my cousin Leroy with the, then the GT switch the 4 lanes on the stove with the cook up like propane. Ayy, on the block where the shots go bang. When it really gon' hang. All my life, you was saved by the bell, I was saved by the ayy, young boys with y'all, young boys with lawyers. We stand in the kitchen and whip out that, we whip out that, whip out that, whip out that. All my life I hustle just to get that moolah. And stack my change up, they gon' see that jeweler.
Stretched out to the middle, back to
broke it up. There's a shot. They score! They score!
Canardo forwards. Hey, that's it! Rochester has the lead, and again, it's St. Louis.
Tonight concludes the longest homestand of the season for Charlotte Independence, one that started with hopes of keeping pace with Louisville City and the New York Red Bulls 2 for first place in the Eastern Conference. Instead, it's been a disappointment. A tie against Toronto FC 2 and then a shutout loss last week to Bethlehem Steel FC. It's Charlotte's first shutout loss since March 26 when the season began. Now the Richmond Kickers come to town with plenty on the line. The Kickers a point ahead of Independence in the Eastern Conference table for 5th place, and they return to Ramblewood Soccer Complex 1 month after a controversial loss to Charlotte, where Independence scored in added time on a penalty kick from Jorge Herrera. And good evening from Ramblewood Soccer Complex. I'm Jeff Hamlin, along with Patrick Dacco, Ryan Brown, our director tonight, our cameramen TJ Harrell, Quentin Pfeiffer, and Trey Harrell, as we come up with Charlotte Independence going up against the Richmond Kickers. Richmond, as we mentioned, a point ahead of Charlotte. Richmond coming off a win last week at City Stadium, 3-1 over the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And Charlotte is 5-4-3 after only its second home loss of the season, Patrick. And tonight, looking at the starting lineups, it's clear that Mike Jeffrey wants to revert back to the lineup that won this team a franchise record 4 games in a row just 1 month ago.
Correct. In comes Enzo Martinez for Jorge Herrera. And I think what he's looking for is a dynamic, exciting, creative midfield player, a number 10 that's able to get the ball and run at players, beat people, and then lay the final pass. What the difference between the two of them, Jorge and Enzo Martinez, is not so vast, other than the fact that Jorge can finish, Martinez can create more for other players. And then Estrada is in.
David Estrada, that's right.
As well. So that's another injection of pace on the left side.
And that is what Charlotte really experienced offensively when they had all cylinders clicking in wins over Charleston and Richmond. They scored 3 goals in both those games back on April 26th and April 28th, a win over Charleston 3-2, and that aforementioned 3-2 victory over Richmond. Ever since then, Charlotte, after the 2-0 win over the New York Red Bulls 2, they have had a real power problem in trying to get this offense going. They only scored 1 goal in the victory over FC Montreal. They had the 1-1 draw against Wilmington, then they went scoreless against Rochester, lost 2-1 to Orlando City B. Last week was shut out against Bethlehem 1-0, and wound up with that tie against Toronto FC 2-2 all. But Toronto FC 2 wound up scoring the first 2 goals in that game. One thing that Mike Jeffries wants to see from this squad that has been the case, unfortunately, in the past 2 games is a good start. Charlotte dug themselves a hole early on against Bethlehem Steel, as Bethlehem wound up scoring in the 11th minute off a careless giveaway by Bilal Duckett. And then it was Toronto FC 2 wound up scoring the first 2 goals within the first 30 minutes of that game.
Yeah, the key is getting in the game and getting after Richmond kickers right from the beginning, and that includes Joe on the right side and Logic on the left side.
That's exactly right. We're going to take a look at the starting lineups tonight, brought to you by Ortho Carolina. Ortho Carolina, proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence. Ortho Carolina, you improved. Richmond Kickers had a 5-game winless streak come to an end last week of that victory over Pittsburgh. They will start Charlie Horton in net tonight, the veteran William Yambi on the back line, along with Hugh Roberts, Alex Lee, the former Maryland star, on the back line, along with Columbia, South Carolina native Braden Troyer. At midfield, a man very familiar with the Charlotte area, Fred Securi, along with Michael Callahan. Udai Amura back in the lineup after suffering an injury the last time Richmond played here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex back on April 22nd. He'll start tonight along with the leading scorer on this Richmond team, Brian Omby. Samuel Asante at midfield, and getting his first start of the season tonight will be Anthony Grant. Interesting that Jason Yeisley, who is the usual frontline striker for Richmond, will not get the start. You can see, thanks to our graphics put together by Ryan Brown, that he will come off the bench. Meanwhile, for Independence, a very familiar 11, aside from the man in net. They will go with John Berner in net for the 3rd straight game. Meanwhile, the back line looks the same. Joel Johnson, Bilal Duckett, Patrick Slogic, and Henry Kalungi. Jan Ekra starts at midfield, along with Enzo Martinez, Jew Marcus Davidson. Also at midfield, then it's Brian Brown, Caleb Calvert, and David Estrada starting on the front line for Independence. And right away, you can tell here that what Mike Jeffries wants to do is put in a lineup that's more capable of winning 50-50 balls, and that's something Jan Akra is usually able to do. Last week against Bethlehem Steel FC, we talked about this often, Patrick. Bethlehem had some very muscular players and some very tall players, and that might have been among the first times all year we saw Jan thrown off his game when it comes to trying to collect those balls at midfield.
Yeah, he was thrown off his physical game. Jan Akra is a box-to-box midfielder. He enjoys getting in tough tackles. He enjoys working hard, running forward. But last weekend's game was tough for him because the team he was playing against was as athletic as he was, but they were not afraid to go in hard on tackles. There are a few times I've seen him get knocked off the ball a little bit. Today, he might have that advantage physically, and that's going to be a key role to play because on the Richmond side is Fred Owusu, who is a ball of energy, a bundle of energy. Fred will go up and down the field, but he's also very creative. He's a dynamic player.
And you know several of these Richmond players because you played alongside them. A couple of them, Fred Securi, wound up playing here in Charlotte with the Charlotte Eagles, along with Samuel Asante.
Samuel Asante, very creative as well, very good on the ball. These guys came after me a little bit. I got to watch them play, but I got to know them. But Yombi is an interesting one for me because he was the defensive partner for Henry Kalungi when Henry was playing back in Richmond. So that one will be an exciting, I guess, get-together for the two guys.
Absolutely. We're about to have the Novant Health player escorts here. Novant Health, the official healthcare provider of the Charlotte Independence. Novant Health, improving the health of our community, one person at a time. We're going to observe a moment of silence here, of course, for the tragedy in Orlando that happened 1 week ago today, and we're also going to have a special dedication, and we would like to send out our best wishes to Matthew Delott, the all-time leading scorer in Richmond Kickers history. Matthew, in fact, scored the equalizer on this very field in the last game that Richmond and Charlotte played against one another. Matthew, shortly after that game, complained of a back injury. He went to a doctor, and talk about good timing. It was at that point that the doctor discovered that, unfortunately, Matthew was suffering from kidney cancer, and he had no idea that was the case. They found about a golf ball size instrument in his back, and the timing, according to Matthew, was very good because they caught it early on in the process. And Matthew is not just simply a person that is a player that's in between stops for his next professional team. He very much is the face of this franchise in Richmond, the all-time leading scorer in franchise history. He played his college soccer in Richmond, and Matthew, you've won many, many battles on the pitch over the years, and in this battle, which is, of course, the biggest of your life, will ultimately lead to yet another victory. Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck to you, Matthew. Matthew is another guy as well that I faced and played against.
And now
So
let's meet the
hearing his
starting
story
11
is
for
both
Charlotte
encouraging
Independence,
and at the same
presented
time,
by
I will send him my
Carolina.
best wishes.
Matthew,
In
of
the
course,
goal, number 12, John
is
Turner.
someone who is very important to the man who coaches
At
this team for
defender
Richmond, Lee
wearing the
Cowlishaw, in his
captain's armband, number 3,
17th
Delott Duckett.
season coaching Richmond. And
Defender
the Kickers
number
have
4,
been a
Patrick
mainstay
Select.
there. Minor league hockey franchises have come and
Midfielder
gone.
number
They once
6,
had
June
AAA
Marquez
baseball up in
Davidson.
Richmond. That came and
Midfielder
went.
number 7,
They have a
Jan
AA team there
Ekra.
now, but the Kickers are
Forward number
tied
8,
with
Caleb
Charleston
Calvert.
as the oldest continuously operating
Forward
professional
number
soccer
9, Brian
franchise
Brown.
in America. They both started
Forward
2
number
years
11,
before
David
MLS back in
Estrada.
1993, and the Kickers
Midfielder number
have
19,
won
Enzo
4 USL
Martinez.
regular season championships and the
Defender
crowning
number
achievement, the
22, Joel
1995
Johnson.
US Open Cup, which they won
Defender number 25,
when Lee
Henry
Cowlishaw was actually
Colungi.
playing for Richmond. They defeated a team called the El
Charlotte is
Paso
coached by Mike
Patriots in
Jeffries,
penalties.
assisted by Troy
One of
Lassine,
2 USL
Philip Poole, and John
franchises
Wooden.
operating right now that won a U.S. Open Cup. Fans, we're going to pause here for the national anthem, and then, of course, the
Fans,
moment of
the Charlotte
silence
Independents would
as
like
we
to
will
honor
stand
Matthew
with
Delott, a long-standing
Orlando.
member of the Richmond Kickers,
And
wish
tribute
him
now
a
for Matthew
speedy
Delott.
recovery as he battles kidney cancer. Get well soon, Matthew. Presenting the colors tonight are the CMPD High School Explorers Honor Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, of all those impacted by the tragedy in Orlando this past weekend, we ask that you please join us in showing support for the victims, their families, and friends with a moment of silence now prior to the playing of our national anthem. Thank you. We ask that you now please rise and remove your hats as we honor the United States of America with the playing of our national anthem. And a special thank you to the
Has
CMPD
never won. Richmond has never won at Charlotte. Now, at Charlotte is a nebulous term because they have played Charlotte in two different places. They played last year against Independence first at Rock Hill, South Carolina, and Winthrop University. Charlotte won that one 3-0, a game where Alex Lee wound up getting a red card because he elbowed Alex Martinez in the back of the head. And then, of course, the game that happened here earlier this year, which was a controversial one. Charlotte came back from an early goal scored by Richmond's Sonny Janet and wound up scoring two on their own. The final goal came from Enzo Martinez. They had it 2-1 before Matthew Delott evened things up, made it 2-2, but Charlotte wound up getting a penalty kick. It was a foul drawn in the box by June Marcus Davidson, a very controversial one. Even some Charlotte supporters upon replay kind of looked at their heads and grimaced at one another, thinking that maybe they got away with one there. Jorge Herrera scored the penalty to ensure the victory for Charlotte, and you'd have to think because of that, Richmond, who battled a lot in that game, namely the loss of their then leading scorer, Udai Amura, is going to remember that tonight here and try to get revenge on Independence.
They will. It's definitely one of those things that will linger on in your mind until you play the next game, until you face the same opponent the next time. So that's a motivating factor for them. But looking at their warm-up and looking at the players that I know from Richmond, they look like a technical team. They're quick, they're fast, they're small, so they're very nimble. Owusu, again, as we mentioned earlier, is going to be the guy to watch in midfield because he can cause a little bit of troubles by finding the pockets in the attacking half of for Richmond.
The Red Army coming in tonight. A little bit of members of the Red Army, in fact, for Richmond. As you see, our head official tonight, Marco Vega, Rick Rogers, and Walter Heatherly will be the assistants, and the fourth official is David Erbacher. And Richmond and Charlotte squaring off here. The winner of this game will be comfortably above the red line. The loser of this game will be fighting it out with several other teams for a playoff spot. There are 8 available this year in the Eastern Conference. And we'll see exactly what Charlotte has on tap here tonight as they try to end this home game, this home stand in style. Enzo Martinez, Brian Brown lining up over the ball. Enzo Martinez back in the starting lineup tonight. And the second of 3 games this year between Charlotte and Richmond, all set to begin here tonight at a sun-drenched and very comfortable Ramblewood Soccer Complex as we're all set for action underway here tonight from the Queen City. And Jan Aqua brings it forward to the far end. Joel Johnson, the former Spaniard who played in La Liga, sends it away. Estrada takes it up the far sideline, and Udai Amura, who suffered his leg injury only 9 minutes into the game here last time against Independence, winds up creating a turnover. Braden Troyer brings it up the field. Anthony Grant making his first start tonight in place of Jason Yeisley. Brian Omby, the leading scorer on the team. 1v1 on Johnson, early break for the Kickers. Now a cross that sails through the 6. Running after that one will be Samuel Asante. Into the box, Fred Securi, another member of the Charlotte Eagles now playing for Richmond. Enzo Martinez. Callahan tries to keep it alive. Chipped out of play by Slogic. Now Brown will try to recollect. A one-touch to Caleb Calvert. Up comes Estrada. And back comes Charlotte now the other way. Very comfortable night. Only 81 degrees here at game time. The prior 2 games, it's been over 90 at kickoff.
Yeah, and it shows in the pace already. The pace is cracking right from the beginning. And it's a back-to-back kind of game.
There's Bilal Duckett. Joel Johnson to Enzo Martinez, the former Carolina Railhawk who wound up assisting on the very first goal on the first game he ever played for the Railhawks in Cary in the North American Soccer League against Minnesota United. And the ball bounces into Charlie Horton, who is in net, a man who has extensive experience at least playing for sides in various leagues in the Football Association in England. He played with Leeds United, Cardiff City, and Peterborough United. Never wound up playing an official game. He was released by Leeds United in November and then made his way to America over the course of the offseason. Enzo Martinez went down. Lee Kalishaw, the Richmond coach, came off the bench thinking that Enzo was counting his chickens before they hatched, thinking that that ball was handle before a foul was signaled, but ultimately it was signaled against Callahan. A one-touch by Estrada, something that Caleb Calvert was released by Leeds United in November, and then look at it again. Actually, it was Hugh Roberts who's wearing the 1992 Grant Hill fade here tonight. That style has gone back in style, actually. It took 25 years, but it's back in style.
I always say the old school is the new school. Always comes back. And if you can spot it nicely, then it's all fresh.
Well, he's playing with a veteran. He's the right center back, the left center back, the man William Yambi, who was all USL, best 11 for 6 consecutive seasons. Former member of the Kansas City Wizards back when they were known as that. Now, of course, it's Sporting Kansas City. Long cross headed away by Calvert, taken away by Enzo. Looking for Joel Johnson, a pass that ran wide.
Yeah, just a little miscue on his pass there. You could see exactly what he was trying to do, send Joe in. But the start of the game is very promising for Charlotte. It's a little bit more energy, a little bit more character in their game as compared to the last game. They seem a little bit more desirous to impact the game right from the start onwards. Enzo Martinez getting on the ball, Estrada getting on the ball early on is key for them, and getting those guys involved early on is going to create problems for Richmond, who in all fairness, Richmond came in here with a 4-5-1 formation just to sit in probably and try to hit them on the counter. Independents are going in for an all-attack.
Looks like they put 3 strikers ahead now. After that turnover, Troyer will field it ahead to Udai Amura. Ombi looking for the ball. Grant brings it in far side of the box. Kalungi marks him. Then it's going to be Troyer playing the cross. That'll be taken down by Caleb Calvert, and he'll spring back the other way. Lead pass, Martinez will try to run up for it, but the veteran William Yambi disposes of it to Troyer. The wingback who played at South Carolina, then Troyer goes down. Enzo Martinez took him down, and Lee Kalishaw is off the bench, very upset. No foul was called.
Yeah, I thought that Enzo just slipped there. I don't think there was any intent at all on causing a foul. I think he wanted to stop, but couldn't.
Well, fans, we mentioned what happened with Orlando, and following last week's tragic event at an Orlando nightclub, the United Soccer League contributing to the One Orlando Fund and is asking for your support as well. One Orlando was created to provide funds and assistance within the Orlando community, including care for the victims and families affected by last weekend's heartbreaking incident. Please visit oneorlando.org for more information. Again, that is oneorlando.org. And we thank you for your support. You see the foul that's called against Charlotte. It was drawn there by Samuel Sante.
Yeah, Independence showing their presence felt, their physical presence felt on the field right on at the beginning, just to let Richmond know that we're here. We are here to play.
Good block by Martinez on the Callahan free kick. That brings it up to Brian Brown. Doesn't have the bodies, but he'll still venture forward. Caleb Calvert with the chip in the box. Brown in position, headed away by Roberts, taken out by Callahan. This is Udai Amura. Samuel Asante plays it along to Braden Troyer, but he does a good, couldn't quite keep it in bounds. So Charlotte will keep it in the attacking third. Troyer played at South Carolina, but in South Carolina, their college soccer isn't played in the SEC. It's played in Conference USA. SEC spends so much on football, I guess, that they just can't afford to have a soccer league. So South Carolina and Braden Troyer, in relation, had to play his college soccer all across the Southeast and in Conference USA, now in his second season. Man who has not left South Carolina very much until his professional career started. A native of Columbia. Joel Johnson, after a foul called, will line up for a free kick. Asante and Amura line up to comprise the wall.
This could cause problems for Richmond here with the size differences.
Martinez travels through the box. Kalungi had a piece of it, kicked forward by Calvert, but it's a roller taken down by Horton.
Yeah, Martinez is a little disappointed with himself there with the service. It worked out, ended up working out, but that's not the service that he was looking to send in.
Charlotte has not had a set-piece goal since that one they scored against FC Montreal. That came moments after Enzo Martinez missed a penalty kick. But 2 minutes later, Martinez from just outside the box chipped one in that was headed in by Caleb Calvert. That was the last game, and rather the last point in a 4-game point-scoring streak for Enzo Martinez. He had 3 goals in 3 games against Charleston, Richmond, and the New York Red Bulls 2, and had the assist in the only goal of the night against FC Montreal here in Charlotte. Estrada looks to play it behind. Brian Brown, the Jamaican, and Callahan call for holding. Brian Brown on loan. Played last season with Indy 11 of the NASL. There's Alex Lee, the former Maryland star. Have several players who won national championships with their college teams on the pitch tonight. Davidson with the giveaway. Asante, one touch. Amura looking ahead. He's going to chip it back over. Duckett will intercept it. Jumarcus Davidson plays it forward. Acro to Martinez. Lead pass, but coming around the edge of the box will be Charlie Horton, who is 21 years old and 6'5".
It's a big fella.
Wonder why he's playing goalkeeper, huh? Back at the other end, John Berner awaiting another errant ball. He's 6'3" from St. Louis. He played at SIU Edwardsville. Made 5 saves last week in the loss to Bethlehem Steel FC. Independence coming in 4-2-1 at home this season. They are now at 16 goals on the year. That's tied for 16th in USL. Brown fighting for a ball. Down goes Security and a foul called.
And that's going to be one of the problems of being a stronger team, because physically, because any foul against smaller players, any contact against smaller players is going to be a foul.
And they have some diminutive players on the field, the Kickers. They have Samuel Asante, who is 5'4", and Security, who just drew the foul there, is 5'5".
And they know how to use their bodies as well to draw those fouls in.
We have all sorts of countries represented tonight, too. Ghana, that's where Security's from. Asante also from Ghana. Alex Lee, an American from Maryland. Jumarcus Davidson was born in Japan. Enzo Martinez, born in Uruguay.
A lot of fufu for those Ghanaians.
Yeah. There's Duckett playing at far end. Joel Johnson will try to track it down, but he's cut off. Ombi did so, looking for Grant, who in his first start has been limited in terms of touches. Duckett. Troyer goes for the ball, can't control it off the second bounce. Amura does. Callahan away. This is Samuel Asante. And back come the Kickers, looking for its second straight win. After that disappointing loss here in Charlotte, Richmond wound up winning 2 in a row.
As good as this game has been so far, being played in the center of the park, one weak shot from the service, from the free kick, I would think that Coach Mike or both coaches are looking for something a little bit more in terms of attack. Test the goalkeepers a little bit early to see how they are.
This is Martinez getting the feed from Estrada, curls to the left. Now Caleb Calvert looks for a cross. That's disrupted by Lee over the end line. Will it be a corner? It will. First of the night. Lee arguing that he didn't touch it, but looked like his left foot made just a small amount of contact. So Enzo Martinez will line up on the first corner of the night. Charlotte only had 3 shots on net last week against Bethlehem. They had one early on here in the first 10 minutes against Charlie Horton. Estrada, Caleb Calvert, Bilal Duckett, Patrick Slogic lining up the big bodies as you would expect. Now Slogic makes a move toward the end of the box. It's a grounded kick that went off a leg and it'll lead to another corner. Charlotte not getting what they need in terms of delivery on set pieces right now.
This is the second one, so it begs the question: is this part of the plan? Is this what they've been working on, or is he actually trying to hit a higher ball but just failing to get it up in the air?
Davidson will take the short corner, headed by Kalungi up in the air. This is free. Horton comes out of net. Ball is free. Horton out of net. It's cleared away just in the nick of time by Grant. Brown will keep it in place, so the striker had to come up big defensively. Troyer gets on Brown. Bryan maintains possession. Brown trying to deal with the slippery pitch here. Johnson curls it in. Kalungi to the left. Henry in a rare situation to play across. That's headed out quickly by Yambi, and now counter the other way. This is Asante. Martinez comes up on him to slow him down. Samuel plays to the left. Yudai Amura, the Japanese native. Outside the box, marked up by Duckett. Ombi, the leading scorer, thought about it from distance. Now will fire, but it's wide left. So Ombi, the native of Glen Allen, Virginia, got one away here in his 5th professional season. Probably be disappointed with that effort.
Yeah, you will be disappointed with the effort, but probably the team itself will be encouraged by the way they countered.
And they got something out of that. Richmond does not give up very much in the way of goals. They've only yielded 12 this year. That's tied for 6th in all of USL. See Jan Ekra there. Native of the Ivory Coast in his 10th professional season, Patrick Slogic looks ahead for Estrada, who scored in the last game against Richmond. That was disposed of by Lee. And now Amura goes down, and the foul will be called. Take a look at the shot here. A moment ago, and it was Horton who had to come out and deliver more of a straightforward punch to it as opposed to a roundhouse right.
Yeah, you missed the ball right there. You could tell that as soon as he missed that ball, he was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Because he came out way too early, too far out, missed the ball, but he got bailed out by his defenders there.
It was a big play by Anthony Grant, who knocked one down in the box on the shot attempt. Grant making his first start, really making his impressions felt more on the defensive end than from his forward position. Grant scored last week. The only goal by Richmond scored last week that was not an own goal against Pittsburgh. The first 2 were own goals. Yudai Amura banked one in off the waist of a defender for the Riverhounds into the net. And then Michael Callahan had one go off the crossbar and went off the neck of the goalkeeper, Hunter Gilstrap, and went into the net. Actually did one of those double bounces, went off the crossbar, off the neck, off the bar again, and into the net. That was technically an own goal, though Callahan should have received credit for one. One touch by Ombi, no one there. Slogic tries to clear it, keep it in bounds, and does so nicely. Jumarcus Davidson. Asante tries to win it in the attacking third. Amura stays with it. Amura has room, fires, and it just goes wide. Yudai Amura looking for his 4th of the year. The 5'7" native of Bunkyo, Japan, in his 2nd professional season.
He was running away. He was running away from the goal, so he tried to pull the ball across his hips a little bit more, but he overcorrected that. But keeper was rooted on his line.
That's right.
Any little bit of movement towards the right side of that shot, the left side of the post, that shot goes in.
John Berner looked at that from a distance somewhat helplessly, realizing he had no chance to get it and just hoped that it was going to go wide, which is exactly what happened. Fans want to remind you that you can get in the game through the USL social media channels. Follow the USL on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram for news, live game updates, and video highlights from across the league. One game going on right now, in fact, and Louisville City maintaining pace. They lead Rochester 1-0. They're in the first half. Louisville City only with 1 loss through its first 13 games. They won here on opening night on the final kick of the game from Chandler Hoffman, and they have not looked back. Right now they are a point ahead of the New York Red Bulls 2 for first place in the East. And for the top record overall in the league, in fact. Jack's Militia sings in the distance as Henry Kalungi plays it along to June Marcus Davidson, who really is playing more of a center back role tonight, or at least in this formation.
Yeah, the two center backs split wide when you're building out of the back. So June Marquez, and we don't talk much about June Marquez, but the amount of work he does is so critical. So he finds a space between the two center backs and be the point guy to recycle the ball.
There's a ball in front that was played ahead, and the shot was blocked away by Hugh Roberts. An attempt there by Calvert. Goes back into Caleb. He'll turn. That one goes off the head of Yambi. That was all set up by Enzo Martinez, who had a good through ball to Joel Johnson, and that led to offensive opportunities. June Marcus Davidson. Well, June started that possession, and then Enzo triggered it with the scoring opportunity. Now Enzo with a header. This is Estrada wide to the left. And Davidson has a go out. They're going to rule Charlotte ball. So Independence coming up with some early opportunities. Both sides with early opportunities. Caleb with a one-touch. Martinez fights to the right. Yambi got his spikes up high but didn't make contact according to the official. Asante took it from Troyer. Good zigzag move by the diminutive one. Told you about Asante's height. He's only 5'4". We might see Sonny Janet come in the game, and we talked about the amount of athletes from various countries. I don't think I've ever done a game where an athlete has come from the country of Lesotho. But that's the case here with Sonny Janet, who spent 2 seasons with the Wilmington Hammerheads before coming to Richmond.
Well, I can tell you something a little bit about the southern African part of the continent. The players are very creative. They are very
excellent through ball here to Martinez, to Estrada, and then Brown didn't get anything at all there, just a mishit. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, Patrick.
No problem. That was a very good move, and Caleb Calvert was looking for the final pass there. But I was talking about the Southern African players. I don't know why I know this, but maybe Zimbabwe's from there. They're very creative. They love playing with the ball. Most of them end up being midfielders. Have you know it? Because they want to dance on the ball.
That's right.
We don't produce too many good defenders. We don't defend very well.
Well, in all fairness, William Yambi is a native of Cameroon, but that's not in.
Yeah, that's West Africa. That's more
in West Africa, not in the southern part of Africa.
Right, yeah, that's more muscle.
That's more for the huskier type of players. They're more likely to
correct and
have someone a little more rugged.
And even if you look at the other sports in America, basketball and football, most Africans that end up playing in those sports come from that area.
That's true. Dikembe Mutombo, to name one.
Yeah, I've not seen one Zimbabwean player in the NFL.
No, not
basketball.
Yet. Yeah, although if we think about it, we probably could. Remember, Christian Okoye was from Nigeria. He played with the Chiefs for a long time, and now his son's playing football for everyone who would feel old tonight.
Yes.
Alex Lee, Amura, chip in. Grant's going to run for it. Filling the boxes, Lee on the overlap, and it'll lead to the first Richmond corner of the night. So a good run that time by Anthony Grant. And now the Jamaican native leads Richmond to their first corner of the game, and it will be Fred Securi taking it. Fred played here in Charlotte with the Charlotte Eagles, the team that in 2014 wound up going all the way in the USL playoffs to the championship game where they lost to Orlando City in what was Orlando City's last game as a member of USL before they won the championship and then migrated on to MLS.
I watched that game on TV, how crazy that game was.
Oh.
It was a fantastic game, but exciting for the masses. The stadium was completely filled.
Over 30,000 have a foul called. Okay, well, Stanley Matanga is playing right now for the New York Giants, according to our director, Ryan Brown, and he hailed from one of the countries we were talking about. So Ryan just comes up with stuff like that just as quickly as you can snap your fingers.
Yes.
It's remarkable how quick that is. So after the foul was called that nullified the corner, the goal kick by Burner, that'll be taken by Asante. Scoreless here Down goes Brian Ombie, and the foul will be called. Fans, don't forget that Nike is a proud partner of the USL, and follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike soccer information. We're scoreless between Richmond and Charlotte here. Charlotte has not gotten off to a bad start, unlike the prior two games in this homestand. Losses to Toronto FC2 and Bethlehem Steel.
There's a little bit more mobility to their game. They're stretching the Richmond team a little bit higher and asking questions of their defense, trying to get to their goalkeeper, but their Richmond is organized a little bit more in front of their goalie. But the movement, the ball movement, the movement off the ball, the interchanging of passes, the technical aspects of the game are very good.
Richmond chaining some passes together. The all-important forward pass is headed out of the box by Slogic. Lee looking for Security. Going to launch it for Grant. Kalungi marks him. Lee keeps it in play. Richmond a point ahead of Charlotte in the Eastern Conference standings. Asante. Security. And this is Alex Lee, the native of Rockville, Maryland, who played with Maryland and was a member of the 2008 National Championship team. Turnover created by Estrada Ekra. And now Joanne Johnson will bring it up the field. Independence last scored in the 67th minute in the 2-2 draw against Toronto FC2. Lee passed for Brown beyond his play, and looking for that ball is Yambi, and he'll send it back to Horton. That game was stopped in the 73rd minute because of torrential rain here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Here's a turnover. Here comes Asante down the field. Samuel with Ekra pouncing on him. Gets it away. Anthony Grant moves in, and we have a whistle. And they're going to call offside.
Yeah, I think if he just held his line just a little bit, he got a little too eager.
Grant did not like the call, as you can see. But it is whistled, and that nullifies what was going to be a pretty strong counter attack there by the kickers. It was Rick Rogers, the assistant, along the near sideline who raised his flag immediately. A reminder, if you need a ride, download the YC mobile app and use promo code Independence for $15 off your first ride. Yellow Cab of Charlotte, official transportation provider of Charlotte Independence.
Might need that against Swansea.
Yeah, that's right.
This place is going to be packed.
Absolutely, on July 13th. Martinez, we'll take a look at the offside here. Might have been somewhat objectionable from Lee Kalashaw's point of view. Martinez backed up deep by Lee. This is as comfortable weather as we've had in quite some time here. After a week of 100-degree temperatures on Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to dip down to about the 60s by the time this game winds to a close. Lead pass ahead, Estrada, nullified by Yambi. Johnson tries to control, can't do it. William again comes to the rescue. Then Grant and Duckett jostle. And Bilal's got a little more aggressiveness in his game after that hard challenge last week that he received against Bethlehem Steel. Ball here by Akra looking for Caleb Calvert. He'll go out of play. We'll take a look at the offside here. See if Anthony should have been called here. Let's see. Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
the very objectionable. Bilal Duckett was keeping him outside.
Yeah, looked like Bilal was about 2 strides, maybe 3 in front of him.
He was behind the play there,
Yeah.
for sure.
Strange thing about it is that official is looking with his son at his back. So, not sure what the deal was there. Regardless, in the 27th minute, Charlie Horton, the 21-year-old, who's playing in his 5th game ever since the goalkeeper that regularly started for Richmond, Ryan Taylor, was lost for the season here at Ramblewood Soccer Complex. Taylor fielded a quick bending corner by Enzo Martinez at the south end of the field where Richmond is shooting at right now. Taylor wound up making the play almost on instinct, and then he went down holding his ankle, and he wound up tearing his ACL and his MCL, and he's out for the season. Brian Brown sends it away to Joel Johnson. Charlotte filling the box with Martinez coming in. Heading it away is Lee and out of play. In order to finish that game, Independence had to rely on a player who's going to play for Davidson College coming up this season, this fall as a matter of fact. They had to rely on Sawyer Gaffney, and the very first thing that Enzo Martinez did after Gaffney entered the game was fire a shot from about 22 yards out that wound up going in. Got a foul called against Charlotte after the throw-in. Or, excuse me, it went out of play.
Don't forget, fans, 4 food trucks on site.
Sawyer Gaffney wound up giving up that goal. He was the goalkeeper of record after Taylor gave up 2, and then he wound up giving up the penalty kick to Jorge Herrera that led to Charlotte getting the 3 points. Eckler gets in position to field the goal kick by Charlie Horton. Ombi jumps up. Duckett gets in there. Asante plays along to Braden Troyer. Udayamura up the field. Securi has that pass nullified by Kalungi. Caleb Calvert will try to control an open field. Caleb Calvert on loan right now from the Colorado Rapids, and the Rapids right now leading the chase for the MLS Shield, the Supporter Shield in MLS, which means they have the top record right now in the league. Giveaway here, Troyer intercepts a pass by Johnson.
You see Estrada on the right side, you see Estrada on the left side, and they always interchange in position with Caleb Calvert. That causes problems for Richmond because defenders are not used to having a different type of player every single time. So you want to read your opponent, you want to know what their strengths and their weaknesses are, but if they keep interchanging, that makes it very difficult to figure out how to play.
That's right. Good block here by Martinez as Jambi attempted to clear. Enzo maintains possession. Estrada will look for a counter. Oh, nice move past Troyer. Estrada in the 6, kicked away and out of play by Jambi.
And a sea of red in front of him as well.
Yep.
Brown holding his waist there, waiting. He was waiting for that pass.
Great move here by David Estrada.
Great skill, though.
Look at him get past Troyer, who is a skilled wingback. And that leads to this, the 3rd corner of the night by Independence. Martinez gets it in. Goal! Caleb Calvert.
I was about to say this game needs a goal. And that's where it comes from. And it's a set piece as well.
In the 30th minute, it's Caleb Calvert, his 4th of the year.
And I think the first set piece that they actually delivered properly the way they wanted it.
Enzo Martinez will get the assist. And for Enzo, his 2nd of the year, that ties him with the team lead.
He sees the ball through over the head of Brown and just taps it in. Excellent technique.
So Caleb Calvert gets the goal. Looks like that Troyer, after getting burned by Estrada in open play there that led to the corner, got burned again on the set piece.
Yes. And what I like about that finish is that he didn't go for power. He just went for placement. Tucked the ball right into the corner. He knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. If he had gone for power, he was going to whiff it or send it over the crossbar.
We'll get another look at this here in a moment. We hear about zonal marking sometimes, Patrick, and I wondered if that's what Richmond used here. There are those who want to see zonal marking when it comes to set pieces. First at the other end, here's Ombi. Drops it off Amur at the edge of the box. Udai plays it ahead, blocked by Duckett and out of play.
Now it's the next 5 minutes. That's important for Independence. Holding on to that lead, the emotional high of scoring a goal, and not give up anything silly or anything easy. And for Richmond, they're looking for a quick response.
Fred Owasu Securi is going to line up on the corner after Independent scores for the first time in about 120 minutes. Curls in, Slogic got a head on it to sing it to the perimeter. And then Sakiri goes back in. Oh, it was headed off, and then it goes right into the arms of John Berner. It was Brian Omby who wound up with the opportunity there as it curled in, and now Charlotte will launch a counter. Here's Estrada back the other way. Slogic will overlap on the left. And he plays it back to Jan Ekra. So Omby had an opportunity there for what would have been his fourth of the year. Martinez curls it in. June Marcus Davidson, a rare shot that was blocked by Hugh Roberts. That was a golden opportunity there.
That was. And I don't think Yanni Akra knew what was going on behind him. I think he was surprised there was someone behind him.
Yep.
Keeper knew exactly what was going on. He was in the right position. But it's very important for Independence or to mention what's going on between Jan Ekra and Davids, June Marcus. The two guys in midfield are very important in maintaining their shape and in maintaining their ball possession. When Marcus goes forward, you mentioned it was a rare movement forward, a rare shot. Yanni Ekra recognized that and he stayed behind.
And now Brian Brown comes into the box, goes down, penalty. Penalty is called. Hugh Roberts will be hit with the infraction that's going to lead to a marker and a penalty in the box. Brian Brown creates that once again. Hugh Roberts wound up committing the foul. And for the second time this year, Charlotte will have a penalty against Richmond. And more than likely, it's going to be Enzo Martinez going for it here.
I think Brown claimed it. Brown wants it.
The referee wasted little time. Marco Vega pointed right at the spot after Brian Brown went down, and now Brian Brown, who has not tried a penalty this year, looks like he will be the one taking it. So it will be Brown going for his fourth of the year.
And as a center forward, after going a few games without scoring a goal, this is a great opportunity for him.
Brown, goal! Wait a minute here. No celebration. I think the referee is going to say that there was a Charlotte player in the box and that penalty is going to be nullified, and so it's going to be a retake here. I believe that referee Vega said that Enzo Martinez entered the box and he's got to stay out of the box anticipating rebound. So Brown will get a redo. And that one misses wide left. Oh, what a huge mistake.
And that is,
oh, my heavens.
That's what always happens.
My heavens.
Brian probably wanted to switch up his PK, but in cases like this, you don't switch up your PK. You just take the same PK.
But Brown opted to go to the left that time instead of the right. Enzo Martinez was the one who entered the box early that nullified the first successful penalty. We couldn't hear if the referee blew his whistle before Brown attempted that first penalty. But regardless, it's a nullified opportunity for Independence and really a missed opportunity all the way around. And then down goes Troyer at midfield, and that leads to our first booking of the night. Enzo Martinez will be written down after collecting the yellow, his third of the year.
You sort of feel for Brian there. He wanted that goal. He worked for it. He got the PK, you got the call, and then you claimed the PK because he needed to score a goal. He scores one, and then he got called back. And now he's got something else to think about. And decided to change his PK, plays the ball wide.
So it's still 1-0. Securi. Slogic heads it away in the attacking third. So an event-filled last 6 minutes here after both teams really spent the first 30 minutes of this game feeling out one another. Independence with one goal that could have easily led to two, but Charlotte winds up missing its third penalty of the year. Jorge Herrera missed one on opening night against Louisville City, and Enzo missed one against FC Montreal. Atoned for that error minutes later by assisting on the only goal of the night by Caleb Calvert. Calvert scored here tonight from Martinez, and now it's Omby missing wide left. So, the last time I saw a penalty nullified like that after a successful, or at least a penalty nullified, was the time Brazil played the United States women in the semifinals. I believe that was back in 2010, the year Japan won it. Might have been 2011, actually, now that I think about it. The referee ruled that the goalkeeper moved early for the Americans in order to redo, and that eventually led to the Americans giving up a goal. Abby Wambach scored the game-tying goal in heroic fashion, unforgettable fashion, in the 89th minute. The Americans eventually won on penalties.
Yeah, those things happen. Either the goalkeeper moves too early or somebody encroaches into the 18-yard box, the penalty area, and the referees call it.
Johnson to Martinez. Long run. Troyer will try to shut it down and not give up the corner. Both men go down. Leads to a goal kick. Well, let's take a look at this again here. Martinez, well, you see Brown there when unfortunately our angle got cut off, but you can see that referee Marco Vega was looking back. And there was almost no celebration at all from Independence. And Enzo Martinez was the one, according to Vega, who wound up moving early. Martinez beaten to the ball by Callahan. This is Securi up ahead. Ombi with an opportunity, shut down by Slogic. Kalungi looks to clear and does. Seems like that's one of those picky things, but the referee was entitled to call that, and that's what happened. Charlotte missing out on a golden opportunity. They are now 2 of 5 on penalties this year. You thought it was strange that Portugal didn't win today or didn't convert a penalty from Ronaldo.
On a big stage, a big man, big name. So those things happen to the best of the players. And the Portugal coach didn't even want to talk about it in the press conference.
I don't think he anticipated finding himself in a situation with Iceland and Hungary in their group with Austria that they would not, they would be possible they'd be eliminated from the Euro without getting into knockout stage, but that's the possibility now. Martinez goes down, and it's going to lead to a penalty and perhaps more. It is. A yellow issued, I believe, against Michael Callahan. For Callahan, that'll be his 3rd of the year. The Kerry native who played at UNC, who was named an assistant coach before the season. He's a player coach right now, one of several that Coach Lee Kalashaw has under his employ.
Yellow card has been issued against the Kickers. In the 40th minute,
Independents are finding the seams and finding the entry passes that are splitting the Richmond defense or the Richmond midfielders, breaking their lines. And the easiest thing they can do now, Richmond, is to cause fouls.
So Estrada is back with Martinez. And Martinez will take the free kick. Just wide left.
That was fizzy.
That one had a lot of steam coming off of it.
That was fizzy.
So Enzo perhaps letting off some frustration after being called for edging into the penalty box.
And in situations like this, I always get worried about those little kids, those little ball boys behind the goal. I really get worried. I get concerned when a shot like that comes through.
We've seen a few go in that direction this year, unfortunately, at times. And that was one of those occasions. Have a foul called against John Ekra, who's called for reaching behind the back of Asante as that ball was in the air. Bilal Duckett, the captain of the team, comes forward. Bilal, we told you about that challenge last week against Bethlehem Steel. Late in the game, it caused him to miss the last 10 minutes of the contest. That's the first 10 minutes this year that he has sat on the bench for any game, including U.S. Open Cup games. Playing it short, Callahan goes wide for Lee. 1-0, Charlotte with the lead off a goal from Caleb Calvert from Enzo Martinez on a corner in the 30th minute. Sending it in deep, Brian Brown touched it last as it went over the sideline.
Good defending by the big man. He didn't dive in. He just kept his eyes on the ball and just poked it away. It was a very good interception. The play was very good. The sideline was wide open.
Hugh Roberts will trigger the throw in. Caleb Calvert gets in there. Slogic knocked it away, stays in the box. Martinez goes for the clear, doesn't go far. That's Asante. Knocked forward, down goes Lee, and then Estrada winds up getting high, spikes up, and that brings Lee Calishaw up from the bench, wanting some fouls called. Nothing is signaled. We told you that Lee has had a dust-up with Charlotte before. Strange thing about that situation with Alex Lee last year when he was sent off for the red card against Alex Martinez, he was only booked one more time the entire year.
Yeah, there's something about, there's a wrestling match going on the field as well. There's something about the Richmond Kickers versus Charlotte Eagles. Charlotte Independence.
Take a look at Estrada here. Yep.
I don't think we saw the end of that that motion there, but Estrada looked like he flicked his foot.
Yep.
That's what Lee was complaining about.
You see Alex Lee right there in his 5th pro season, the first pick in the 2012 MLS supplemental draft. He was taken by FC Dallas after a great career at the University of Maryland. Slogic sends it up the near sideline. Roberts peeks over the head of Brown to inch it forward. Davidson with a one-touch. Estrada fights to keep it in play, does so. David Estrada, Bilal Duckett. As we wind down here, the waning moments of the first half. Joel Johnson to Estrada.
Finding those pockets quite easily, the Independents. Moving in and out of the pockets, but moving the ball very well, very quickly.
Jan Ekra pressures Asante from behind. Johnson goes down looking for a foul, and Duckett there looking for the foul, didn't get it. Joel Johnson up ahead. Fans, don't forget you can keep up to date with USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL. And back the other way, a shot attempt is cut down by Burner. Golden opportunity for Brian Ownby.
And watch Asante, how he played that ball with a no-look touch over the top of his head. I wonder if we can get a replay of that play.
We'll see it in just a second as we'll see how much time is added on here in the first half in just a second. Huge play by John Burner, who's looking for his first USL win this season. Down goes Lee, squaring up for a loose ball. Lee still down. Brian Brown was the man squared up against him. Long ball here. Caleb Calvert will run it down. Charlotte threatening here as we wind down the first half. Martinez. And Lee still down. Ball sent out of play. And we get to eavesdrop on what's going on down below us here. Might have 1 minute of added time.
Well, that was an elbow to the chin.
Yep. And Lee went down hard. Even though it's less humid tonight, still players need a water break. And you can feel the rivalry between these two teams. Even though Charlotte's only in its second year as a franchise, many of these players played with the Charlotte Eagles. The ball is given back here by one of those former Charlotte Eagles, the aforementioned Fred Securi, as 1 minute of added time coming up.
It's good competition, it's healthy, but they need to take care of each other as well.
Richmond will play Charlotte one time this year at City Stadium. Richmond is one of 4 teams that Charlotte will play 3 times this year. They'll also play Orlando City B, Wilmington, and Charleston. And they have played all those teams once. Charlotte will play Orlando City B coming up in their next road trip on July 2nd. Slogic battles with Securi for the ball. Lee is there to take it away. And Patrick goes, can't get the ball, and that's the first half whistle. So Independence has one goal, and the heartbreaking part about it from a Queen City point of view is that it could have easily been two. The first goal came in the 30th minute. A header by Caleb Calvert set up by Enzo Martinez, which coincidentally enough was the last goal scored by Charlotte here against FC Montreal. Those two players have hooked up before, and Charlotte easily could have had another one, but a penalty kick by Brian Brown nullified after Enzo Martinez entered the box early. Brian's second attempt went wide to the left. And we're going to pause here for halftime as Charlotte Independence leads the Richmond Kickers 1-0 as you're watching Charlotte Independence Soccer live here on YouTube.
Fans, don't forget, halftime is a great time to stop by the merchandise tent located near the front gate to purchase your official team gear. Don't forget, fans, tomorrow is Father's Day, so this is a great opportunity to score a last-minute gift for Dad. And tonight only, fans, we have select items that have been discounted that'll make great gifts for Father's Day. So be sure to check out the merchandise tent located near the front gate for your official Independence team gear. Fans, your attention please. Before tonight's game, the second annual Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department versus Charlotte Fire Department soccer friendly match was put on in support of the CMPD, Hope Foundation, and Fire Prevention Foundation of Charlotte. These nonprofits assist the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department and the Charlotte Fire Department employees, families, and the surrounding community in times of financial hardship due to circumstances beyond their control. Let's take a second to give a special thank you to our first responders for always keeping Charlotte safe. And fans, during that match, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department defeated the Charlotte Fire Department 2-0. Please turn your attention to the field as the command staff from each team is presented with a scarf. And the winning team, the CMPD, is presented with the Independence flag. Once again, fans, please give a big round of applause to both the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department and Charlotte Fire Department for helping keep Charlotte safe.
Welcome back to Ramblewood Soccer Complex as Charlotte Independence holds a 1-0 lead on the Richmond Kickers. Charlotte wound up scoring in the 30th minute off a set piece, and not for the first time this year, but just the latest in a long line of goals scored by one Caleb Calvert and assisted by Enzo Martinez, as Enzo wound up kicking in a corner, and Caleb Calvert wound up heading it in. And that was enough for Charlotte to take a 1-0 lead. Brian Brown had a penalty kick after drawing a foul in the box. Richmond's Hugh Roberts, but that penalty at first went in, but Charlotte was called for having a man in the box. Enzo Martinez got a head start. Brian Brown had to retry the kick, and he missed it wide left, so Independence content with only a 1-0 lead here at intermission at Ramblewood Soccer Complex as Independence looks to surpass the Kickers in the Eastern Conference table. We'll have more, including statistics from the first half and kickoff for the second half in just a moment as you're watching Charlotte Independent Soccer on YouTube.
Breathtaking. And I love your use of negative space.
What were you thinking?
Oh, definitely art school. But between painting and sculpture, you can always change majors.
You need to...
Right. Oh, it ain't finished until you sign it.
Tame the tuition monster.
Lovely.
With Virginia 529 programs that help no matter where higher education dreams take them.
This will be your lost masterpiece.
Bob's Brats and Taco King. They are cash only, but worry not. ATMs conveniently located on either side of the east stand. So check them out, fans. Halftime's a great time to get some food and some drinks.
It was the fourth goal of the year from Caleb Calvert that put Independence ahead 1-0 here tonight at the half. Jeff Hamlin here with Patrick Daka. Ryan Brown is our director here this evening. Very happy you all are with us as we'll take a look at our statistics here from the first half. And this was a very evenly played first half. Both teams had very good chances. Charlotte, as you can see there, did outshoot the Kickers, but they had the same shots on net, and Richmond had some late corners. John Berner comes away with a couple of saves, and then you had Charlie Horton for Richmond with one save, and each side also had a booking. Michael Callahan had one for Richmond, and then there was one for Charlotte, with Enzo Martinez picking up a yellow. We'll take a look at some highlights here. Charlotte did have opportunities early in this game, and it was interesting that both shots on net in this contest came from Caleb Calvert. One early, Caleb here with the chance, and that was blocked by William Yambi, or rather by Hugh Roberts, who wound up having one later on. Come back to haunt him. There you see Caleb Calvert putting his side foot in on a nice delivery, an outswinging corner that time by Enzo Martinez. And for Enzo, that puts him at 2 assists on the season. Richmond did have its opportunities as well. This was Samuel Asante sending one in, and Brian Omby had a golden opportunity that really deflected off of him. He didn't really control it, and it led to John Berner making the save. And then here was the penalty that Charlotte possibly will look back on as a missed opportunity. Hugh Roberts wound up fouling Brian Brown. Now, at first, Brian Brown wound up scoring, but it was nullified, and that led to Brown having to retry the kick, and it went wide to the left, as you can see. It was nullified because Enzo Martinez entered the box early. Excellent ball here by Samuel Asante. Played it alongside Fred Securi, then gave it up to Brian Omby, a late opportunity, and this will be a candidate for our Wells Fargo save of the game by John Berner. Again, Omby controlled it, but didn't really have an opportunity to get a solid attempt off, and that was probably the best ball movement we saw from Richmond throughout the course of the first half, as Independence has a 1-0 lead here. That's our recap brought to you by Wells Fargo. We'll also have the Wells Fargo save of the game coming up in the postgame. Want to thank our camera people, TJ Harrell, Quentin Pfeiffer, Trey Harrell, and we also have Warren Schoonover tonight as our fourth camera person. And Richmond will wind up going into the shadows as sun sets on Charlotte on a beautiful day. What's been a very comfortable weekend. Charlotte will hit the road for 2 straight games right after this. This is their final home game in June. Next time they'll be back at home will be on July 9th against Wilmington. And then, not long after that, the Swans will come calling from Swansea City. In fact, Swansea City is going to play both these teams during the second week of July. They'll come to Charlotte here on July the 13th, and then a couple nights later they'll play in Richmond. Here's a header right away by Anthony Grant, and that's tucked away by John Berner. And that is the third shot on net tonight, make it the second shot on net tonight for Richmond. So Grant wasting no time.
Yeah, wasting no time at all, and it looks like they've gone to a 4-4-2 formation, just trying to get a result out of this game. So instead of just sitting back, they're going to attack.
And here's Brown from distance, and that just barely missed the crossbar.
Brown is looking for a goal. He wants to have a goal. That ball was beautifully taken on a full volley, full turn.
Brown had to win a duel for that ball against Hugh Roberts and really moved him out of the way in order to get that shot off. Roberts committed the foul in the box at one end against Brown that led to the penalty that we discussed earlier, and there it was marked up against him, and Brown got away a howler. Here's Duckett. Lee intercepts it. Slogic racing with Omby for the ball will win that duel. And the loose ball taken away by Enzo Martinez, who comes away. Enzo, marked up by Asante, goes down. Those two former teammates. Now goes to Owasu Fred Securi. Callahan back the other way for the Kickers, who look much more aggressive here to open the second half down a goal. Callahan to the right will play the cross in. Omby trying to fill the gap, but the pass was beyond his reach and into the arms of John Berner, the native of St. Louis. Fans, don't forget, curated craft beer delivery to your doorstep just a click away. Visit brewpublic.com to learn more and sign up. Brew Public, Ding Dong Beer. Referee Marco Vega calling a foul against Richmond on Fred Securi as Independence looks to wrap up this homestand with a win. MLS 2 teams have come into the stadium and have come out with a draw in Toronto FC 2 and a victory for Bethlehem Steel. Now the developmental program for Philadelphia Union. Philadelphia, by the way, wound up losing today to New York City FC. Already tonight in the USL, Louisville City won at Rochester 1-0. That is Rochester's first home loss since August of 2014. And Louisville City is threatening to run away with the USL regular season championship. They are now 4 points clear of the New York Red Bulls 2. Lee with a hard run back the other way. Omby trying to catch up with the pass. Duckett shuts it down. Louisville City just scored that goal here on opening night against Charlotte to take away a win like a thief in the night, and they really have not looked back. They have one loss this regular season in what is now 14 games. Ball out of play. Security didn't care for the call, saying it went off of him, but it will go against him. Independence will come back now. And Caleb Calvert, young man who is all of 19 years of age, who already has MLS experience playing for the now defunct Chivas USA, scoring the goal earlier. Giveaway, Anthony Grant. Slogic there to intercept it. Martinez. Calvert plays it ahead. David Estrada in open field now. Brown to his right, trailing the play is June Marcus Davidson. Estrada sees that, plays it in, a little bit behind Davidson and also behind Joel Johnson. This is Samuel Asante as Richmond tries to counter. To the far end, Callahan. Lee.
The English Premier League is coming right here to Ramblewood Stadium. When you're Charlotte Independent,
Security plays it along. Here comes Michael Callahan, young man who played only about 2.5 hours away from here at UNC, grew up in Cary, North Carolina, now playing professionally. Joel Johnson tangles with Anthony Grant and a foul called against Johnson. Callahan started 79 of 82 games at UNC, scored 10 goals and 13 assists, and has played over 5,000 minutes as a member of the Kickers. Another veteran in there, William Yambi, looks to flop the field, looking for Lee, taken back by Slogic instead. And Independence, after that goal in the 30th minute, trying to maintain the lead here. Goal scored by Caleb Calvert, who's got the ball now. Brian Brown off the bounce, through ball ahead. Estrada, Martinez just had it shut down by Troyer. Excellent play by the second-year man from South Carolina.
A flowing move by the Independence as well. But the key player in this movement is Brown. Brown checks to the ball, Brown receives it and plays it through. Brown is occupying the two center backs throughout the game. As long as he occupies them, they will be in trouble.
Brown with an opportunity there, had it go wide. It was Kalungi who made the contact with it, but it's taken out by Samuel Asante. That was an excellent pass there by Estrada. A good look on the back door, and Martinez nearly had the goal, but Braden Troyer managed to deflect it and send it over the end line.
And the movement of Estrada and Martinez as well, key to the development of that play.
Through ball looking for Murrah. Nice try by Security, but it was taken down by Bilal Duckett.
You'd say this is something that was missing in the game against Bethlehem last week, the mobility of the midfield players. But with now June and Yanni Ekra taking care of the midfield, it releases Enzo Martinez to be a little bit more creative going forward. Last week, he did more defensive work. That was Jorge. Did more defensive work in midfield than he needed to be doing.
Jorge not starting tonight for the first time in quite some time, as a matter of fact. Didn't start against Rochester, but he played the first two games of this homestand. He started against the Charlotte Eagles. That was in U.S. Open Cup play. Did not start against the Railhawks, but after the homestand started, he had starts against Toronto and against Bethlehem. Near giveaway, and Duckett loses it. This is Omby closing in, goes for a post, and it trickles wide. Another near goal there, created by a careless play from the Charlotte back line, which unfortunately has reared its ugly head a couple of times this homestand.
Yeah, they were doing well, keeping the ball, trying to move Richmond into uncomfortable positions or getting out of their positions. But then a square pass, and then Duckett took his eyes off the ball a little bit under pressure from Omby.
So John Brunner will send it away. Going for the ball aggressively, Yambi, perhaps too aggressively. He's hit for the foul for going over the back of Estrada. Take a look at this again, and unfortunately, this brings back bad memories of what happened last week against Bethlehem.
Yeah, he just took his eyes off a little bit, and the pressure from Ombi was right on top of him, so he couldn't really recover.
Ombi, the leading scorer on this Richmond team at 9 points. He has 3 goals and 3 assists. Udai Amura, early on in the season, was the leading scorer, but he's been shut down as of late. Amura had one of those plays that led to an own goal last week, one of 2 own goals given up by Pittsburgh in a 3-1 loss to the Kickers. Jan Ekra, Davidson with a one-touch, looking for Calvert, goes to Roberts instead. They jostle at midfield, and Martinez comes away, and he's got room. Martinez!
You'd like to see Martinez do a little bit more of that. Take some shots when he has opportunities to. I thought that in the first half he had a couple of situations where he could pull the trigger, but he decided to make a pass. But that is going to be important to keep the defenders honest.
So Enzo now has 8 points on the year after assisting on the opener tonight from Caleb Calvert. Caleb now has 9 points on the year. Jorge Herrera leads the team with 10, and we'll probably see him before the night's over. Now a long attempt from distance, and it just goes off the top of the net from Grant. That was from 40 yards. He wanted to take one deep, and that's really from distance, and a little less oomph on it evens the game.
That would have been a goal to remember for him.
Heavens.
And a goal to forget for Berner.
It was Security, who had the opportunity. And what a chance this was. Look at this from the midfield circle, just beyond it. How much by, perhaps by about a foot, no less than a foot there when you get right down to it.
Yes. And Berner did everything you want your goalkeeper to do. You want him to play out of the box. You want him to be away from his line a little bit for any clearances that go over the defenders. But in this case, you're playing against players that have a little bit more imagination, like Owusu. They will take advantage of that.
And Owusu now sets up Ombi down the field, running hard as Amura closing in, won't have the touch. He'll field it behind the net. It goes to Troyer, curving in, looking for Grant. That's cleared by Kalungi, but only so far. Securi jostling with the taller Caleb Calvert. No foul called, though Securi went down. Martinez brings it up to midfield, and Yambi's waiting on it there. So one attempt by Fred Securi, the 30-year-old, looking for his first of the year. That was really from about 50 yards away.
That was a long shot, yes. The problem with playing against a two-front, which Richmond is now employing, is that the 2 center-backs, Henry Kalungi and Bilal Dackett, they have to play man-to-man. But that also means June and Jan Ekra have to recognize that and drop in to cover, give him protection. Right now, those 2 guys are looking a little exposed.
And now Martinez with the cross attempt that goes over the end line. Willie Horton, you can tell, Charlie Horton, is just not used to playing on this turf because he was having a terrible time trying to handle that ball. His first attempt at a clear was whiffed, and then he sent one over the sideline in the attacking third, and that led to an opportunity there for Charlotte that they probably should not have had. But you're right about the center backs there, Patrick, and how Jan is trying to occupy them. And doing a very good job at that, as is Brian Brown. And again, Horton with a goal kick that comes very close to the sideline and sent out. Fans, don't forget, you can get in the game through the USL social media channels. Follow the USL on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram for news, live game updates, and video highlights from across the league. 1-0, Charlotte with the lead. It was Caleb Calvert scoring on a corner from Enzo Martinez in the 30th minute. Estrada takes a pass from Martinez, the third-year pro from UNC, stolen away by Asante. Troyer sends it out. And one of the members of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department nearly made the play, and happy to have the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department play the Charlotte Fire Department tonight in a pregame matchup. Those 2 great organizations wound up playing tonight, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department won 2-0 over members of the fire department. And we have a foul called here. I believe that'll be marked up against Troyer. Enzo Martinez drew it. And Charlotte would have an opportunity with a set piece, and Enzo can be dangerous on free kicks. Setting up in the box is Duckett, along with Kalungi and Brown. They'll be joined by David Estrada, Joel Johnson, and Martinez deliberating over this kick. Amura lining up the wall with Callahan. Martinez wants his defense straightened out. Johnson runs over. Martinez goes in and off the head of Duckett. Taken away by Asante. Callahan will trigger things back the other way. Richmond goes north. Grant fights to keep it in. No indication made by the assistant along the near sideline for whatever reason. Richmond just goes ahead and throws it in. Here's Asante. Securi. Chip in the box, nicely done. Headed out by Johnson. Omby has a touch in the box, but a foul called. I believe it's the offside flag flown up. Yes, offside called.
Also starting to get a little bit more freedom in the midfield and trying to finding space to play those balls, those dangerous balls. We saw him take a shot. Here's the replay again. Lots and lots of space and time to look up and chip a dangerous ball. And there are 3 reds in the back post here against Joel.
That's right. You're right. They could have called that against Omby or Grant. Possibly even Lee as well. Looks like they were going to have Lucas Pellini going to the 4th officials table for Richmond along with Luis Nascimento. And now a foul called, and Martinez is down. Yambi hit with the foul. Enzo was holding his left leg momentarily. See if they're actually going to call this. Yambi's kind of rolling his eyes at the entire matter, but the foul's going to be called against Charlotte. Yambi didn't look happy with Enzo that time.
No, he didn't. He felt like he bought that foul or tried to buy that foul.
But the foul was against Charlotte. Good long ball put forth here. Duckett comes over to head it away. Johnson has it intercepted. Securi, not loose by Estrada, taken back by Johnson. Enzo curls to the right and sends it up the field. Brown will try to run it down. Yambi will beat him to it. Sends it away to Charlie Horton. 1-0. We have 3 kickers at the 4th officials table, and one of them is Jason Yeisley. So Pellini, Fernando, and Yeisley all about to check in here for Richmond. And Yeisley, young man who was among the leading scorers on the team. In fact, he led the team in goals and points last season. Good long ball ahead here. Caleb, oh my heavens, they called it offside. Caleb was right in position. Good delivery set forth by Johnson. And with that, Pellini will check in with Yeisley and Luis Fernando Nascimento, a native of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Sitting down will be Asante. Looks like Securi might be going out as well.
And they're going for it right now. So they're sending forwards in place of midfielders. So it's not a like-for-like change. They're going for attack.
Actually, Asante is going to stay in. It's going to be Callahan leaving along with Securi. And now Yeisley will come in, and Anthony Grant will come off. It was a mild surprise to see Grant get the start tonight because it was his first of the year. Yeisley's been the regular starter on the team.
Equally surprising for me is that Secure, as we were just talking about Secure starting to find space, and he comes off. I thought in the second half he was one of the most dangerous players.
He was the one setting up attempts, and of course he had that attempt from midfield. That's been the closest attempt for a goal tonight by the kickers.
Yeah, it doesn't look happy sitting on the bench right now.
No.
But they've gone for size as well up front.
And perhaps Lee Kalishaw saw a tape of that game with, in fact, I would bet he had seen a tape of how much size of Bethlehem bothered Charlotte last week and how much it impacted that contest. Jostling for the ball is Sante, going at it hard and heavy with Akra, and a foul called against Samuel. Quick restart. Martinez tries to field it long for Estrada. That's taken down by Troyer. Martinez gets it back from Johnson. Estrada opts to go wide. Joel Johnson to Enzo Martinez. Brown calling for it in the box. Beyond his reach, Roberts heads it away. This is Luis Fernando, young man who was signed by Richmond after Lee Kalishaw discovered him during a scouting trip to Sao Paulo, Brazil last November, shortly after the season ended. Richmond had their season come to an end against Louisville City in the playoffs. Coach Kalishaw went to South America looking for new players, and this is one of the players he came up with, an 18-year-old rookie from Brazil, who actually started the last time out. Caleb Calvert hit with a foul, and he's talking it over with referee Marco Vega. As we come into the 65th minute, Caleb still has the only goal of the night, but Richmond has threatened. Charlotte will play again on Friday against the team now known as the City Islanders. They've looked to take the Harrisburg out of their name as they want to represent all of central Pennsylvania, regularly known as Harrisburg City, but simply known now as the City Islanders. Here's Johnson. Estrada plays it to the overlapping right back. Oh, and Johnson maneuvers nicely, looking ahead. Martinez shut down at the end by Roberts nicely.
Roberts does well there to put his body between him and the ball, between Martinez and the ball, but that was a brilliant move by Joel.
See right now, Cincinnati leading Toronto FC 2-1, and Johnson really set up this opportunity on his own, moving past Yu Diamura. Martinez couldn't win the race. And William Yambi, 31 years old in his 9th professional season, has been tested tonight. You've talked about the runs that Brian Brown and Jan Ekra made, and there Enzo tested him with a long ball.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult when you play against a mobile attacking team because they are taking you out of positions you want to be in.
Excellent pass here, and the ball just goes wide. Yaisley fielded a very nice pass from Nascimento.
And the same thing is happening now on the Richmond side of the attack. They're moving very well, and they're finding the seams. Like I said earlier, the two center backs, Bilal Dackett and Henry Kalunji, having to be forced to play man-to-man marking. They need a little bit more cover now from Joe, from Slogic, as well from June and Yanni Akra.
Fans, don't forget Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike soccer information. 1-0. Independence with the lead, and Bilal Duckett controls at midfield, the captain of Independence. He's been the captain for almost every game this year. Back in the lineup tonight after missing the final few minutes of the game against Bethlehem. Wide to the right, Johnson tangles with Troyer, and it leads to a Charlotte throw. Martinez run over by Asante, and now lead to another free kick for Independence, and Asante will have a lengthy word with Marco Vega, though Samuel doesn't care to have one.
He just burrowed into his back there. There was no chance he was winning the ball.
So now Charlotte might try to test the London native, Charlie Horton, in net in his 4th professional season, but this is the first year really where Charlie Horton has played extensively after playing in England.
The question again is, can Caleb Calvert make the runs and find space to attack these?
Getting a head on it was Brown, but it didn't go forward.
Yeah, the service is not quite as good as they probably wanted it to be. But now in the Richmond kickers on a break.
This is Ombi wide to the left, moving in against Davidson.
Well defended.
Nearly went over the end line. Ombi kept it from doing so. Amur tosses his weight around, goes against Ekra, sent it into the 6, sent out by Slogic. First time in this game, really, that Charlotte's back line has been moved into the 6. Slogic kicked it out. He's 6'6", and you can't teach that. This is Lucas Polini, the native of Argentina, who no doubt has a rooting interest in a game that's going on right now.
Right now, yes.
Chips sent in by Polini, looking for Fernando. Asante in a 1v1 will fire from distance, went off a body, and the referee orders a goal kick.
And right now, Argentina is up 3-0 for that game.
So it looks like the aforementioned or anticipated date with the Americans will come to pass.
Will come to pass. Lionel Messi with a goal, and then Gonzalo Higuain with 2.
Messi got the start in that game tonight based on what we were told on Twitter at halftime, and sure enough, the Americans will face the Argentines. Real quick, you want to know how much of a milestone win that was for the Americans the other night against Ecuador. It's only the third time in a knockout major tournament game that the Americans have defeated a non-CONCACAF opponent. Just the third time. That's a hallmark victory.
That is a hallmark victory.
And what an atmosphere in Seattle. Couldn't pick a better place in an NFL stadium to host that game. Back here at Ramblewood, Charlotte trying to grind out this victory. They're 20 minutes and change away from doing so, and David Estrada hit with the foul, or rather draws a foul. Mike Jeffries has not gone to his bench as of yet, though the players and the reserves have been warming up for quite some time.
Yeah, it's difficult right now to look at the team and say you need some changes, unless the changes you're looking at are just fresh pair of legs.
Johnson with a good through ball. Martinez will charge to the right. That pass was blocked. Polini. Now Brown's got it at the top. Brown nearly made it 2-0. Boy, it has to be frustrating for Brian. He has to wonder what it's going to take to get his 4th of the year.
Brown wants that goal. He's looking for it. But again, he was going away from the goal. There it is. It pulls it across his body and just shaves just a little bit of shade away from the back post.
Saw Jack's Militia off in the distance there. Touch here nicely done by Nascimento. In the box, Ombi has a chance. This is Yaisley, tangled up by Johnson. Yaisley looking for a trailer. Finds one in Troyer. To the left, the cross is in and headed out by Slogic. The kicker's threatening. Nascimento blocked. Yamura just wide to the left. Feels like the first time tonight that Richmond had multiple threats on net.
Yeah, they're throwing numbers forward. They're going for it. Right now they're playing with 2 forwards, but when they attack in a 4-2-4 formation.
In situations like this, with Charlotte holding a lead, usually Mike Jeffries opts to put Jack Metcalf into the game as an extra back. We'll see if he does so here.
You can do that, but you can also, he would need to cover Joe on the back post, because the back post is always going to be wide open. As the defenders shift to one side to protect, let's say, Slogic this time, Joe is going to be forced to go inside, cheat inside a little bit to support or to cover Bilal Dackett. That opens up the backside, and that's how they got their opportunity earlier on.
That's right.
And there they come again with that same side.
It's going to be Asante this time, charging from the left. Troyer bringing up the rear. Shot was blocked by Johnson. Johnson wins that duel, clears it up the left. Martinez with Polini bouncing on him. And again, Enzo goes down. And Polini looks like he's going to be hit with a yellow from referee Marco Vega, and he is. So Lucas Polini collects his first caution of the year, and Martinez went down earlier holding his leg, and now he's down for an extended period of time.
Yellow card issued against.
So that one coming in the 73rd minute. If Independence were to get the win here tonight, they would bounce over Rochester and Richmond in the table, and they would tie Charleston. Take a look at this again here.
Yeah, I think Paulini just got faked a little bit there and stumbled, kicked Enzo Martinez's ankle.
Wound up almost kneeling into his shin there, it looks like.
He lost his balance into him. But Enzo is difficult to defend. That's how he's very creative. You think he's going one way, and then he turns and goes the other way.
Long ball deep went off of Martinez a moment ago. Troyer will bring it up the field. And Slogic back with Duckett, and the back line for Charlotte is going to matter very much in the waning minutes. We see Jorge Herrera coming off the bench now along with Lewis Hilton. Those are typically two of the first reserves to enter games for Independence. Keep in mind, Richmond made a three-way substitution earlier on this half, with Yaisley entering the game with Polini and Nascimento. I was like you, Patrick. I was surprised that Securi was one of the players pulled from this game, but that was the case.
That was the case.
Long throw here, and they're going to call the foul in deep against Yambi.
I think they wanted to go to a 2 midfield with Paulini coming in. So they had to and add another forward. So Owusu got sacrificed for that. Paulini brings that physical presence in midfield, as we saw in that foul with in that tussle with Enzo Martinez earlier.
Caleb Calvert was the man stepping in front of Yambi, who apparently shoved the 18-year-old in the back. Yambi, the team captain. Estrada tries to keep that ball in play, but it was touched by Troyer, who would have been better served letting it go out of play. So now Herrera comes to the scores table along with Lewis Hilton. One-touch pass. Estrada will enter the 18. Estrada! Touched away. Rebound. Just wide. Looking for it was Caleb Calvert. It would have brought him the brace.
Caleb Calvert's hunger, though, to get to the end of things, to get a goal is very, very encouraging. But Estrada, that was a brilliant strike. Good save by the goalkeeper. Only needed to put his fingertips to it. Good defending there by Lee.
Absolutely. Alex Lee doing yeoman's work to make sure that Charlotte stays only one ahead. Bending corner. Off a back and out of play. It's going to remain Charlotte ball. They'll have a corner at the other end of the field, but now Jorge Herrera and Lewis Hilton will formally enter the game. Take a look at this again here.
That was the shot and the save. Caleb slides in. What a good.
Charlotte was given a corner there, but it looked like that Caleb may have touched that last. That's according to the eagle eye of our own Ryan Brown, the director. Caleb Calvert now going out.
He's done his work. Caleb did very well today.
And Jan Ekra will leave as well. Caleb leaves with a goal, and he also had both shots on net for Independence during the first half. So Jorge comes in, the leading scorer on the team, and this is Jorge's role at times this year, playing 15 to 20 minutes a game. He's good for 15 or 20-minute burst. Polini deflected that ball. Yambi got it out of the box, and Estrada touches it last.
Yeah, good for 15, 20 minutes, but good for a goal at the same time.
We saw him against Toronto FC2 after Charlotte played such a flat first half, trailing 2-0 at the half, and Jorge wound up scoring 2 goals in 20 minutes to even things, and at finish level because of severe weather. Stopped in the 73rd minute. Slogic with a long ball intended for Brown. Roberts coughed it up. Bryant's going to get a chance at this far end. Bryant moves into the box. Brian Brown to the left. Brian Brown. Shot was blocked by Yambi. Amura tries to get it out off of Herrera. Nascimento bids for it with Slogic. Charlotte wins the duel. This is Martinez. Polini got in his way. Over to Slogic. The chip in the box. Headed out. Herrera has it. The touch to Brown. Blocked by Yambi. And then it's Polini. Charlotte brings it back in, and finally Horton will bring it in. Boy, Charlotte with all sorts of chances, and William Yambi. You understand how good of a defender he is now?
Yeah.
How many shots did he block in that
He
sequence?
blocked a lot of shots. It was a difficult tandem to play against Yambi and Kalunji, if you can just imagine playing against those two guys when they play together.
Those two were a center-back tandem for years. Yambi wound up staying aboard, but Kalunji got injured 2 years ago and left Richmond, eventually migrated south here to Charlotte, joined the team late last season, and has been a full-time starter this year.
So Hilton goes in. It's a like-for-like change with Yannick Accra. The protection we were talking about for the defenders, for the two center backs, is what Coach Mike Jeffries is looking for right now.
Kalungi sends that one out of the box. Polini elbows Martinez to the turf without a foul. Troyer and Ombi can't rack it in. Well, folks,
here's that ball again. Brian, he did this earlier in the game. He shifts his body, touches the ball away from the Richmond kickers, but Yombi with a big step in.
And Estrada will charge back here for Independence. He's got Martinez to his left, but he overpassed it. Sent out by Lee.
The problem there was Martinez and Brian making the same kind of run, so they drew defenders to the same spot, which was easy to tackle.
Here comes Polini back the other way for Asante. Ombi will pass to the right. This is Nascimento. Curl in the box, headed away by Kalungi, and that will go out. Fans, don't forget, keep up to date with the USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL. Asante into the box. Amura back to Asante on a give and go, headed away by Kalungi.
Richmond finding way too much space in midfield and exploiting it to great effect as well.
No doubt about that. And a foul called against Charlotte. Also, don't forget, Coca-Cola is the official soft drink of Charlotte Independence. Coca-Cola. Experience the world of awe. Charlotte scored in the 30th minute from Caleb Calvert. Now it's Ombi. Sending one in, punched out by Burner. Herrera on a dead sprint, can't start a trigger comeback. But Martinez plays it ahead to Hilton. And now Jorge brings it back to the other end. Jorge, up the field, led it too far. These two teams battling back and forth here. Charlotte had its last clean sheet May 14th in a scoreless draw against Rochester. Here it's 1-0. Charlotte had a clean sheet victory here at home against FC Montreal. That was 1-0. That was their last league win on May 7th. Estrada takes a bump from Asante, maintains balance. Yombi knocks it free again.
Yombi with a lot of crucial interceptions today.
Pass up ahead here. Looking for the ball is Nascimento. Hilton and Jorge Herrera's got the motor running, and back he comes. Martinez fills the box, but it was blocked by Roberts out of play. And Jack Metcalf is coming in here for Independence. So Metcalf will report in. We'll see if it's a midfielder who'll go to the sidelines here. Nope, it's going to be Enzo Martinez. So Enzo will leave after an 81-minute night. And it collects an assist that stands to be the game winner.
Yeah, Metcalf a little bit more defensive-minded player. That's what this game needs now with about 10 minutes left in the game.
Metcalf is usually a right back who starts whenever Joel Johnson does not. And as you mentioned here, Patrick, he's going to wind up more in a defensive role here as Independence looks to salt away this 1-0 lead. Slogic goes short on the throw, looking for Brown, deep right corner. Locking up with Polini, who wins the ball, but it's stolen by Herrera. Jorge in the box. Estrada heads it. Troyer is going to try to shield and make sure that Horton can get the ball, and Charlie secures it. In the 83rd minute now, Yeisley tries to send it off of Duckett, which he does. Long throw here for Ombi, who goes in the box. Kalungi takes him down without a foul. And Henry gets it up the field. The former kicker, Troyer, looks a little indecisive with Yombi, and so he'll have to play it back.
A little mixed communication between the two.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for their support of Charlotte Independence: Roll Oral and Facial Surgery, Spirit Communications, Skyview Dentistry, the U.S. National Whitewater Center, and Dick's Sporting Goods. Sponsors, we thank you. 1-0. Charlotte with the lead. Yambi goes back. He's been a busy man tonight. Independence has had a rough homestand. Let's take a look at this here with Kalungi. And a little bit of his jersey. Amura back the other way, plays it through. Amura on the give and go will fire, and it's just wide. And they ruled that Burner did not touch that, much to the amazement of the Richmond bench. And with that, here comes Sonny Jeannet coming in for Richmond. So no corner given to the kickers. And Jeannet, who scored the opener in the first game between these two teams back on April 22nd, will enter in. Bilal Duckett's head made it tough to see whether or not Burner got a piece of that.
Richmond substitution.
Regardless, the call is goal kick.
Entering the game, number 10, Sonny Janae. Exiting the game, number 22, Brian Omby.
So Omby, the leading scorer, goes out for the final 5 minutes and change. Jeannet, bodied up by Kalungi. In the box, Amura, loose ball. It was there for the taking by Pelini, but Herrera beat him to it. 1-0, Independence trying to hold on. If they get the win here tonight, they would be at 21 points. Last year, they didn't break the 20-point barrier until August 1st when they beat Rochester. Deep throw here, headed out by Davidson. Nascimento to the far end. Roberts with a one-touch. Goes off the back of Estrada and out of play. Vance Ortho Carolina is proud to be the presenting sponsor and official team physician of your Charlotte Independence. Ortho Carolina, you improved. Richmond has charged hard here in the final 5 minutes, but they haven't found the equalizer as of yet.
We call it kitchen sink time. Throw anything and everything.
Kalungi didn't get all of that. Asante takes it for Jeannet, puts it in the box. Johnson sends it down and out. Send it right to a group of fans, as a matter of fact. Asante in a 1v1 against Lewis Hilton. Pelini looks for the chip. Gets it in nicely. Free to the Y side. Nascimento. Luis. Shot was blocked by Kalungi. Racing forward Estrada. And Slogic gets a flat-footed attempt that gives Charlotte a little bit of breathing room. Troyer will put the pressure back on. Burner waiting for it.
There's that back post again. The back post play is locking in and trying to clean up anything that comes through.
And it's been very good backline play by Charlotte, something that Mike Jeffries wanted to see after a couple of disappointing games leading up to this one. Brown running back the other way against Roberts. Brown goes down. Roberts will get the foul.
He's so strong on the ball.
Now Paul Klaus will come in for Charlotte. This will be his second game in an Independence uniform. He actually played for Richmond earlier this year very briefly. Have a ripped jersey, unfortunately, for Richmond. And it's going to lead to Alex Lee, or excuse me, Jason Yeisley getting a new one. It's very handy of Coach Lee Kalishaw to have standby jerseys in place. David Estrada will go off the field, and Paul Klaus, who got the start against Toronto FC 2 weeks ago, comes on now for his second game in an Independence uniform. He played one game with Richmond this year. Richmond, of course, has that affiliation with DC United. Then United wound up releasing him, and he signed with Charlotte not long afterwards. A shot goes in off net, and the rebound just wide.
Wonderful technique from the shot from Jorge. Wonder if we can see that again, but wonderful technique and a good follow-up by Hilton. Just couldn't put it away.
And now we have another Richmond substitution.
There's a replay again. Normally, you would think that he would try to bend it over the top, but he goes for power and low. Keeper spills it. Good tackle there. Ball goes out.
Lewis Hilton had the opportunity at a rebound after Jorge Herrera put it on net, challenging Charlie Horton. It leads to a corner. Hilton and Herrera meet at the corner flag.
Game management time now for Independence.
Romulo Pereira comes in. He replaces Samuel Asante. Charlotte opts to go short on the corner. Klaus with it now. And Charlotte trying to play possession here. We'll see how much time is added on. We had some late game fireworks the last time these two teams met. Might be the same tonight. Herrera. Troyer with the interception. Yambi.
Attention fans, your attention please. If you'd like to meet the players,
Now Nascimento goes to the far end of the field.
we ask that you please wait until after
Sonny
the
Jane
game
goes
before
forward.
making your way down to the bottom of the stands. The players
Alex
that
Lee
make their
tried
way
to
over
chip
the
it. It was taken away by Davidson. Hilton to Slogic up the field. Looks like we're going to have 3 minutes of added time here. That's what's on the fourth official's tablet right now.
personnel are allowed on the field after the game.
So 3 minutes of added time coming.
In a game like this, 3 minutes might feel like 20 minutes.
Last time we had an equalizer in closing time, and then we had the game winner from Jorge Herrera after a penalty. Fighting for it there is Peretta, and out of play. As we come up on the end of regulation, Johnson brings it forward. Pelini asking for a handball on Brown, and he gets it. And then a ball kicked in deep. That led to Troyer asking for a caution, none given.
Brown has had a terrific game. Other than just not having a goal to his name, he's put defenders under pressure. He's held the position up for Independence.
Ball comes through. Nascimento had a chance, couldn't quite complete it. Chipped into the 6, headed out by Kalungi. Troyer.
A minimum of 3 minutes.
That one blocked away by Hilton. Huge block.
That's a huge save by a goalkeeper.
No question about that. Slogic will head it into the stands.
If this game ends the way it is, that save right there could be the most important save.
Could make a case for John Berner as the man of the match. Caleb Calvert had a very good game.
There
So
it
we'll
is
take a
again.
look at this here once again.
No one covering the back post again, like we were talking about it earlier. Two guys running in behind Joe, but keeper comes, reads it, comes out and makes a huge play.
That was Peretta who had that chance, which would have been his first of the year. And what a time to get it. Kalungi heads it out. Charlotte needs the full 3 here. Troyer gets a good service in. Kalungi went up in the air, went up against Yaisley, and now back at the other end, a foul will be called by the assistant.
In this case, Charlotte needs more numbers back.
They're going to put 11 behind the ball, no question about that, as we're roughly halfway into added time here. Independence holding on to a 1-0 lead. Lee trots back the other way. Comes in on net, chipped out by Johnson. Troyer slams against Hilton for the ball, and it's taken out by Hilton. Now Lee back the other way. Independence will bring it back with Brown. Tugged at from behind by Nascimento. Nascimento takes him down without a foul called. Brown can't believe it. Now out of the break, Kalungi looks to field the long ball and does. Herrera to Davidson, and off a Richmond player. In the 93rd minute now, with only seconds remaining, Charlotte has had some late game heroics, and they've also been cursed by some late game goals this year. Right now, they look to jump over 2 teams in the Eastern standings if they can hold on. Brown again goes down with Lee. They both get up. Brown goes for the win at the corner flag as we inch up on the 93rd minute. Finally, Brown goes down. And now Brown winds up getting into Lee's face, and you can see his reaction to it all. It's going to lead to Charlotte ball here. And that's the final whistle. And Independence had to grind it out, but Charlotte winds up with the victory, and they put a very happy ending to what had been up to this point a difficult homestand. Independence getting the goal from Caleb Calvert on an assist from Enzo Martinez, and for Caleb it will be his second game winner of the year, and Richmond winds up falling, and Richmond now has only one win in its last 7 games. Charlotte ends a 5-game winless streak here tonight at Ramblewood Soccer Complex as Independence wins here tonight 1-0 over the Richmond Kickers. And what was a grinding, rugged game, and it was one of those games where you look at the score and might think there were a lack of opportunities here, Patrick, kind of like what happened last week with Bethlehem, where Charlotte only had 3 shots on net. But this was a game where the center backs for both teams wound up playing extremely well.
Yeah, in terms of the quality of play, the game was fantastic right from the beginning. The pace was cracking, but the opportunities were not quite there in the first maybe 15 minutes. But once they started taking shots at goal, the opportunities started coming. The second half even more exciting than the first half.
And it was that man, Caleb Calvert, and John Berner getting the clean sheet for the first time this year. Berner gets a win via a clean sheet, and Charlotte has got the win as they improve to 6-4-3, and they are now tied with Charleston for 4th place in the Eastern Conference table. We're going to pause for a timeout, come back for a summary of tonight's game. We'll have the Wells Fargo Save of the Game and the game recap, also presented by Wells Fargo, in just a moment, as Independence wins 1-0 over Richmond here. You're listening and watching to Charlotte Independent Soccer on YouTube.
Located near the front gate.
Stretched out to the middle, back to Green.
Broken up. There's a shot. They score! They score!
Gerardo Fords. Hey, that's in! Rochester has the lead, and again, it's St. Louis.
Jeff Hamlin, joined by Patrick Daka. Ryan Brown is our director tonight. And we also want to thank our camera folks, TJ Harrell, Quentin Pfeiffer, Trey Harrell, along with Lawrence Schoonover. And Charlotte Independence comes away with a 1-0 victory here tonight over the Richmond Kickers, as this is the Wells Fargo game recap presented by Wells Fargo. We'll have the Wells Fargo Save of the Game coming up, but Independence scored the only goal of the night in the 30th minute of tonight's contest, and both teams had battled back and forth throughout the course of the game. Charlotte only had 1 shot on net up until the 30th minute, and that's when Independence wound up getting a good loose ball. Enzo Martinez collected a pass from David Estrada. That led to a corner, and Enzo Martinez would wind up taking that corner kick. And you can see the results of that here momentarily. And he found Caleb Calvert. And really, Caleb has become Enzo's favorite set-piece target. And here you see Caleb go to the far post, and it chipped right past the goalkeeper, Charlie Horton. And that was the only goal of the match. And Caleb Calvert winds up with the second game winner of the year. It was his 4th of the season. Enzo Martinez with his second assist. Here's our Wells Fargo save of the game. It was made by John Berner in a dangerous spot, a golden opportunity late. The attempt there for a man who had just come into the game, Romulo Peretta, and Berner just got it with his right ankle, and then it was eventually headed out, as you saw, by Patrick Slogic. That was one of several late attempts by Richmond to wind up tying this game, but they couldn't find the equalizer. And how big is this one for Charlotte? Well, consider the fact that they entered tonight tied for 6th in the standings. They will leave tonight now tied for 4th in the Eastern Conference, and there's a chance that they will stay tied for 4th, as Charleston right now with 21 points, the same as Charlotte. And right now the Battery locked in a scoreless draw with Harrisburg City right now. That game going on in the 79th minute. They remain scoreless. It was important for Charlotte to get the win here tonight because now they have, of their 17 remaining games, Patrick, 10 of them will be on the road, including 2 coming up, the first of which is this Friday against the City Islanders. And Independence has to make these home games count while they can.
Yeah, well, it was very, very important to come back from a winless streak and win at home before they start traveling. It's a momentum boost, but it's also a confidence boost. But 2 players I want to talk about real quick before we close down. We cannot express enough the job that June does.
Mm-hmm. June Marcus Davis.
Yes. His positional play, breaking things down, and then starting the build-ups from the back is very, very important. It was key for this game today. And then the hold-up play that Brian was playing up front today. Unlucky to not come up with a goal, but I felt he was dangerous throughout the game.
It was indeed the case, and Charlotte's defense had to come up big because both back lines in this game really played well. It was just one lapse by Richmond's back line that really cost them this game. 2 plays by, I think, Braden Troyer that set up the corner kick, and then ultimately on the corner itself, Charlotte wound up getting the goal. So Independence comes away with the win. John Berner in net for his first win of the year. And Caleb Calvert winds up scoring his 4th of the year on an assist from Enzo Martinez, who comes away with his 2nd assist. And Charlotte will come away from this homestand with 3 points after their 2nd win in 2 games against the Richmond Kickers 1-0. Charlotte plays again next on Friday against the City Islanders in Pennsylvania. For our entire crew and Patrick Daka, this is Jeff Hamlin saying so long from the Ramblewood Soccer Complex.